It's June 27th, 2024. This is Roqe. Well, hi there. Welcome to episode 328 of Roqe. I'm jianghomeshi. Hello to you from Toronto. Salam dostana aziz, durud ba shoma. Hope you're doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world. How are you? The presidential elections are coming up where some old, out-of-touch authoritarian types will be vying to take the helm of the regime, and the choices are as deflating as ever. But enough about the American election. How about the Islamic Republic? You see? You see what I did there, Pega?
I like
Smart
that.
Pega, Super P. Tonight is the big debate of the American presidential election between Biden and Trump, and it will no doubt be a riveting spectacle, maybe. It's going to be concluded by the time humans are listening to this. Most people, I think. Let's see if Iran and or Iran policy is mentioned in the debate tonight, and in what context and how many times. It's the Super Bowl for those of us who are political junkies. It means, you know what it means for me, Super P?
What does it mean?
Juje kebab.
Oh.
Is
that a ritual?
That's my debate food.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I will, as soon as we're done here, I will go and get my juje kebab.
Okay.
I will go, the Oogster, Oogie and I. Oogie always interested in the political debates, and then does some commentary by snoring halfway through. So we'll see. In the meantime, by the way, do you have any predictions about tonight's I don't have any Biden versus Trump?
No predictions, but I'm excited because I think it will be entertaining for sure.
You're excited to watch two octogenarians, near octogenarians, duke it out.
I very much am. And I really do think that Iran is going to be mentioned quite a bit. I have a feeling that it is going to be a topic of conversation.
You want to do a wager?
A wager?
Over
sure.
under?
Sure.
Mention more than 5 times, you win. Mention less than 5 times,
you win.
You're right, though. Maybe Trump would say.
That's it. We've
All
no
right.
bet on this.
All right. What do you get? What do I get?
Juje kebab.
Oh, who pays for the
All right.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Retroactively, who will pay for the juje kebab that I will eat?
No.
I see. I have to buy you a juje kebab.
We will go for juje kebab.
Oh, that's so sweet. But it can only be on a debate night. We'll have to wait till the next debate.
That's true.
Smart Pega is here. You're going to be joining me after our feature interview to do the roundup to talk about election boycotts actually in Iran, the overturning of the death sentence of Tumaj Salehi, and whether that's something that is all that it's cracked up to be.
That's right.
But first, what a guest we have on our show. She's going to come into our studio here in Toronto, our makeshift temporary studio as we build the real studio here in downtown East Toronto in just a moment. She's an actor. She's an author. She's very prominent in social media and something of a spiritual guru, like way beyond her years in terms of imparting wisdom about how we should conduct our lives in the most healthy way we can. She's a kid from Shiraz who left her hometown by herself at the age of 15 to pursue her dreams. She eventually ended up in England at 18, then America. She's just been cast as one of the leads in the new season of The Night Agent on Netflix. Anousha is her name.
Very
Not
excited.
Anousha. Yeah,
you always pronounce.
I know, because it's like there's a city in Michigan in the States called Ann Arbor. You don't say Ann Arbor.
What did we say?
How did you even go?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of A-N. Anousha will be joining me in just a moment. Very excited to have her here. You know what, Super P? You should. You know who Anousha is, right?
Yes.
I've done some.
Did you say Shurusha?
Yes,
Shurusha,
because I kind of.
You know where I'm going to go with this?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been having spent some time researching Anousha in the last couple of weeks, preparing for this interview. I think she's a good role model for you. Somebody who's got a focus,
for sure.
Healthy lifestyle, doesn't, I'm guessing, I'll ask her, but I'm guessing she doesn't eat at McDonald's 4 times a week.
I haven't seen Parisa with McDonald's here yet.
Parisa eats, at the new studio. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. You're healthier.
Of
She's
course,
eating
see?
there's a
I-
patty place.
I still
The
haven't
Jamaican
gone to
patties
the
across the street. Oh,
I
it's so
cook
good.
Gian's. I don't
You
eat-
all right? Yeah,
I
you
cook
cook,
every
quote
day.
unquote. Yeah, you eat McDonald's 4 times a week at least. I know that. I went to you see my hair slicked back. I went to a wedding on Friday.
Yeah, I saw the photo you posted.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Looks good.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the backstory.
Okay, I was afraid saying it looked good now.
Yeah, well, I was afraid too. No, I didn't have time. Friday afternoon, there was a lot going on,
Right.
and so I didn't have time to properly get my hair did.
Okay.
I didn't do my hair,
Right.
and so I took a shower, and I normally there's some blow drying, all manner of products, maybe a hair straightener, maybe a few technicians,
Okay.
No, I kid, but I mean, usually I try and do something with I didn't have time. So what do? I take the wettish hair, slick it back, and put some paste in it. I don't have time.
Right.
A man's got to go to a wedding.
Right.
Right.
Can't be late.
So I'm feeling a little self-conscious. I'm like, I'm arriving at this wedding with wet hair, with my hair slicked back. Get to the wedding. What happens? People are like, oh, you look great. I love the new hair.
There you go.
I didn't change my hair. I just didn't do
You
anything.
just did it differently.
All of a sudden, then I post the pictures and people, oh, you look really good with this Kusha, Kusha texts me, wow, you look great. I'm like, I haven't changed anything. Oh, this is the best you've looked in years. Well, just
Wow.
not doing my hair.
I guess you've been doing your hair wrong.
I guess so. There was a team of people working on this. Apparently,
They all got it wrong.
Apparently, short of shaving it, the only thing I should do is just completely slick it back. Yeah.
I like this.
You like
more
this
than
new
before,
look?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
much
I have
easier
to
than
say.
anything. It's just pull it back and
No, I think it looks great.
yeah.
I agree.
I think it'll last about 2 weeks, and then I'll be angry and think my face is too round or something, and go back to
Well, it's nice that
Yeah.
you've gone back to the beard. There's that.
yeah.
Take off.
Somebody
I've
will
said
say
from day
something.
one
Somebody
I'm
that has
team
too
beard.
much impact on my life will be like, "Why are you slicking your hair back?" And I'll go back to
that's
putting it
it.
in my face. Yeah. Very excited. Anousha coming into our studio in just a moment. Pega, Smart Pega, will be here with the Roundup right after that. That's all coming up. But first, this episode of Roqe is brought to you with the generous support of Nimani. I am wearing my Nimani t-shirt today. Nimani is a luxury brand rooted in the heart of New York. The brand beautifully intertwines Persian art with the latest fashion trends. You may know this. You may know Nimani. Enriched by Persian art, Nimani has captivated the attention of worldwide celebrities and art enthusiasts alike. Nimani clutches and handbags are not just accessories. They are timeless pieces of history, perfect for making a statement at your very special galas. If you don't already know Nimani, if you weren't one of the, it must have been thousands of people who descended on the pop-up here in Toronto and at various cities when Nima was here and bringing the Nimani brand outside of New York, make a point of discovering Nimani today at nimani.com. That is basically Nima, New York, NIMANY.com. Thanks to Nima Behnoud and Nimani for their support of Roqe. All right, my featured guest today is an Iranian-American actor, author, social media star in the realm of personal development, and she goes by one simple name, Anousha. Anousha was born and raised in Shiraz. She began acting at the age of 11, moved to Tehran by herself at 15 to pursue her passion in art and in cinema. She then relocated to England, still in her teens, and studied cinema at Regent's University in the UK, and then continued her career in the US. Anousha published her first book, Bidari, in 2022, and she's the co-founder of the Joy Culture podcast channel, where Anousha and Tourange share their personal stories about their healing and learning journey. As an actor, Anousha has appeared in films that include Clairvoyant, On Your Knees, Lifeline, Escape Room, and most recently, she was announced as a main cast member for the second season of the hit Netflix series The Night Agent. That comes out soon. But first, right now, Anousha joins me in the Roqe studio. Hello.
Hi, Jian. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be here. And that was one of the best intros that I've heard of myself so far. That
Really?
was such a good. You did your work, right?
I mean, but really, that's just a little. That's 2 paragraphs on all of your
Everything was
impressive.
just so on point. Sometimes I have to. I'm like, no, it wasn't that age. Please don't give that information. Please don't say that film. Don't say this. But this was perfect. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
All you have to do is not only rely on Wikipedia. That's as
Right?
long as you don't only rely on Wikipedia, you can put together information. First of all, it's great to have you here. Have you here in person in our makeshift temporary studio.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. And I'm excited. I thought I don't normally do this in the sense that I want to do a kind of a career interview with you, even though you're super young. It's not like you're 80 years old. We do the full career. But I thought in the case of this interview that maybe we would have kind of a theme or a focus, because something that you've talked about, both in your career as a performer and also in your spiritual meditational realm, is the concept of unlearning. And it really caught my eye. You've mentioned it a few times. I had to unlearn this. It was my aspiration to unlearn this quality, etc. And I thought that's such a fascinating concept. And the idea of learning to unlearn. I wanted to unpack that with you as a theme. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. I
All
love
right.
that.
So first of all, I love it too, because it gets my mind going. Also because I've only ever, my mantra is life is about learning.
Okay.
And then meditating, if you will, on this idea, I thought, part of learning is also unlearning the traits, the attitudes, the habits, that you pick up along the way, or that you're socialized into, that you don't actually want as part of your journey in terms of growth. So first of all, what does unlearning mean to you?
So I think as I was growing up in Iran and in a very in a way traditional Iranian family, they will narrate some words perfectly to you that as a girl, as a good girl, as a good woman, this is what it means. And in a way, as you go to school or at your home, we all follow this specific narrative that we're like, yeah, this is what it means to be a good woman, or this is what it means to be a good girl. And then if you want to be successful, this is what it means to be successful. And at first, I was following those path of being successful means being like this in the society and have this amount of money, and then being study this and study that. And then as I was going, I was like, actually the word success doesn't mean that to me anymore, because if it's not serving me, and I will elaborate on the word serving me. If it's not serving me right, so why am I doing it? Just because I'm tuning in how the society is looking at me? I'm tuning in at other people's lens towards me, the way they see me? Is that what I'm tuning in to, instead of tuning in to my own intuition and how I feel? And when I say serving, means what I teach online is that if everything is energy and has a frequency, like everything right now around you, and you yourself is an energy being and has a frequency, so things are either light or heavy. When you say I like something, or I want something, or I don't like it, or this is ugly, all you're saying is that this energy brings ease to me, or this energy brings resistance to me. That's all you're essentially saying. This is creating a fight within me or within my life, or this is ease.
Okay.
It's flow. That's
Yeah.
all you're saying. I want it, I don't want it. That's what it is. So when it's serving you, is actually taking you to more ease, right? It's taking you to more lighter energy,
Sure.
right? Or if it's not serving you, it's creating more resistance and fight within you, within your system. So I tuned in the word, for example, of being successful. And I'm like, okay, success means this and this and this in the society, in my mom's eyes and in my dad's eyes. And does it really bring ease to me? Is that where I want to be? And what is ease to me? And then I changed narrative and the meaning of some words for myself. And that's where the unlearning came in. I learned to be successful this way, and that's the learning, and that's the conditioned mind.
Right.
And I want to undo that, and what that would be unlearning.
Right.
That's not what is serving me. That's not bringing me ease.
Was there a eureka moment? 13-year-old Anousha goes, "Oh my God, I'm going to start unlearning"? No, I mean, really, how do you? Because you're not just doing it, but you're consciously doing it. You've put a word to it, unlearn.
Yeah.
So when does that moment come? Tell me.
I can tell you actually, it's a very funny story. Is that I was studying a drama in London. I was a very successful, as the word success, everyone knows the meaning of it, like top number one in school.
So by the time you got to London, even though you're still only 18 or whatever, you're not unlearning yet.
No, I'm just like pursuing.
But isn't that, haven't you already unlearned? Sorry, I mean, you're not becoming a doctor or engineer. So I mean, you're already breaking the mold a little bit, right?
I was that kid that wasn't saying yes to everything. I was kind of that rebellious kid in school, even like questioning and challenging so many things.
Okay.
And then at the age of 15, I was like, no, I'm actually going to study cinema. That's what it brings ease to me. That's what I'm good at.
Right.
And I have a very open-minded parents to allow me to do that.
Right.
Even though there was like months of fighting and everything at home, making them accept this.
Right.
But then finally getting to that point, and then I moved to London when I was 18, studied there in drama school, top best student, blah, 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 had a scholarship, everything was going well. And then I got invited to come to finish my studies here in the US. And then I transferred my credits to the university in San Francisco.
This is in the US, by the way. We're in Canada.
Oh, sorry.
Canadians get very, very nervous about being called Americans.
I'm sorry.
We're very, but go ahead.
In the US.
Iranians aren't Arabs, we have to explain. I know it's not the same, but
that's a good one. Yeah. And then I was in the US, and then it was last year of BA, and all the students were already friends, they were already like hanging out. They've been together for 3 years. I just transferred my credits, and I was there for the last year. And after school they have these like acting 2 club and like improv 3 club, and kids get together, like college kids, like university, they get together and they practice and rehearse without like being like not essentially being part of the university. And you need to get invited to these clubs. And I was like, man, I really want to be invited to one of these clubs, but I don't know anyone. And like every night I was like, I'm such a good student. I'm already a TA, teacher assistant. Is that how you say it? I was already a TA within 3 weeks coming to university. Like I was that active. I'm a TA, please. And then one day this guy walked up to me, very beautiful gentleman, and said, do you want to join our Mormon club? Mind you, I had no idea what is Mormon. I thought it's a method in acting.
Right. Well, it is to a certain extent.
Good one. Yeah. And I was like, yes. And that was, I'm sure it was his first yes ever hearing, like converting someone.
Are we still talking about the eureka moment? Is this the okay?
Yeah,
all right,
yeah. And I was like, yes. And he said, yes. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, when do you practice? And he says, on Sundays. You would think like I would get it by now. And like Sundays, I live in South San Jose, and it takes me some time to go to my university was in San Francisco, and I would take like 15 minutes walking, and then the bus for 30 minutes, and then the train 3 hours, and then the shuttle of the university.
I love how genius, brilliant, amazing, successful Anousha doesn't question what Mormon is.
No.
Just like, okay, I'll be there.
I just wanted to join a club. And then I was like, on Sundays, things like public transportation gets very slow. It's very hard. And he's like, if you're a believer, I'm like, dude, I left my country for this. And he's like, for this? I'm like, yeah, I left my family and my home, my love for this. He couldn't believe it. And then we talked like 10 minutes, and then I figured like, I need to ask what is Mormon by now. I did, and he told me it's a religion, and I was like, dude, I ran away from you, actually. And then I came home that night. And I was like, wow, I actually did what I was telling this guy. I left home. I left my family. I left what I knew as like Farsi, my language. I'm here in San Francisco and the US. Don't know anyone, don't know anything. I want to pursue acting so much and get to the industry, not studying it anymore because I studied it enough. And I'm like, and this energy, I'm going to tell you, it's this energy of that I'm going to get there one day, you know? And the energy when I get there, I will be enough, and I would be loved enough, and I would be worthy enough. And then I came and I was at home sitting and it was like, but I did already a lot. Jian, I did a lot in my life. Like successful in tennis, had medals, successful in playing violin. I was like one of the pro players in a university at 15. I was going to a music university, just playing there. Successful at this, and then all of these scholarships. And I was like, when is it gonna happen? When is it this feeling of getting enough,
being enough,
good enough, and worthy enough? All of that is like, as I was saying to this guy, and then I was home and I was like thinking, and I was like, I actually did all the things I was telling him and bragging about it, but is it gonna come?
But you still wanted to jump at the Mormon thing to be included. Yeah.
Again, I see. All of that. And I was like, maybe it's the way I'm looking at things. Maybe I am enough. Maybe the learning that I did is like, I will get somewhere and I will be enough. Maybe the way I look at the world is what's causing the problem. And I'm like, maybe the unlearning should be, I am enough. And through of so much enthusiasm and loving the world, you want to add more. What if it's that? And that was my very first aha moment of maybe it's me that is causing this much of doing and not feeling.
So in all that you had been doing and accomplishing and searching for all of that, the spiritual part hadn't entered your life yet. This is the time.
This is I'm 20.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
It has not. And
so the moral of the story is that the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, the Mormons actually helped you find your path.
They hate the contrast. I'm kidding. It's just, and then that's how I got into the world of like understanding that everything is a contrast. And then if you don't want something, instead of focusing on you don't want it, just you need to focus on what you want and how it's serving you. But
back to the concept of unlearning. If you don't, I'm not going to harp on it, but I'm so into it. It's such a cool idea. You know, one of the things when you unlearn the expectations of you as an Iranian kid, as an Iranian woman, as an Iranian girl, all of those things in Iran, you're not just unlearning the expectations from family. You're the local community. You're unlearning what an entire system, a state, an Islamic republic is trying to indoctrinate you with. This is one of the things that you can speak to because you didn't leave that long ago, and that was amazing to me about the uprising after the killing of Mahsa Amini. Led by young people, led by young women and boys, because I couldn't get past in a positive way. Couldn't get past the how impressive it was that these kids who are born into the Islamic Republic, who from day one are being told, this is what you should believe, this is who you should be, this is who you should hate, America, Israel, whatever, and they're the ones going, no. We're not going to buy all of that. We're actually going to fight against it. That's got to be the height of unlearning, right?
Absolutely. Because it means path of least resistance. That's what it is. When those kids come to the streets and are like, you know what? I don't care if I am supposed to die for this, but death is less resistance than life itself right now. That's why you choose that.
That's amazing.
That's why because life, the resistance, the fight of life itself has gone so high. You are so far from that ease that you need to feel that death feels less resistance. And you're like, you know what? I accept that. That's when it makes you feel like I'm going to come out.
But isn't it the opposite to a certain extent doing what you're told, being quiescent is easier, isn't it?
No.
I'm just going to be a stooge. I'm going to be I'm going to do what.
If it's not within you. So let me ask you this. If you start lying about yourself, this is the example that I give. I say, in this world that we are living in, if you take something that belongs to its authentic self away, death is what it brings to it. Like imagine taking a fish out of water. Water is the authenticity of fish. Is the source, is the beingness of fish. If you take it out, it will die. If you take a tree out of the forest, the jungle, it will die. If I make you practice the opposite of your source of who you are, you feel like you want to die. Like tell yourself you're not worthy
You might
enough.
feel like it, but
some
the
people choose
water, the fish needs the water.
Yeah.
The kid in Iran doesn't. I mean,
They need their freedom.
they need their freedom.
they
That's
need
what you're
to
saying.
feel
You're saying it's so much that it's basically like
Their worthiness.
they can't live without at this
Exactly.
point. At this point, it's
Yeah.
gotten so bad that
Yeah,
Right.
the resistance had gone so high, and the kid knows freedom, worthiness, being in a flow, being a creative, being the God that they are. That's what they are. And the Islamic Republic is forcing them, making us to practice the opposite, to hate, to lie, to tar off. Well, I don't know how you say it in English. These are opposite of who you are.
Hang on, Totov is bad. I thought we liked Totov.
No. It's the culture of lying.
Oh yes, but I mean,
We're done with it. You need to be.
Wait, Totov is not like for all that the negativity and all the hatred that I've spewed upon the Islamic Republic. I don't blame them for Totov. We had that before. Yeah,
But that like when something is done, like it became expired. That's one of the things becomes expired.
Right,
the thing that when things get expired, it means they're not serving anymore. They're not taking you towards your ease, to your source, to who you are, to your authentic self. And if it's creating resistance in you, and if that gets heavier and heavier, you're like, you know what? I'd rather die. I'd rather not live this life because the resistance is too high.
And to be fair to them, that's what they would say when we had We had this series on Thursdays of Voices Inside Iran, where we would talk to. I would talk to young people in Iran on the phone.
Yeah.
We would change their names to protect them or whatever. You'd have a 21-year-old girl going, "I'm willing to, die for this."
Yeah.
And some of them did, as we know.
Because if you go back to your intuition is so loud, and it's a direct line to who actually you are, your source, your God, your Allah, whatever you believe in, to the nature of you. You have a direct line to that. And it's so loud, if you quiet your mind, you can hear your intuition.
What are you, Anousha, what are you most proud of unlearning?
Interesting. I broke a lot of codes since I was little. Like when I was 15 and I wanted to move out, who would do that at that time? Like, and I think about it like in my entire
You've
life.
called that audacious, your big audacious move when you're 15. I don't know how you negotiated that with your Persian parents. I'm out of here. I'm going to go to Tehran
by
myself.
Yeah. And then again, like 17, I moved. Like right now, you hear me like speaking English to you and all that. But when I moved out, I couldn't speak English. Not even
when
a
you
word.
moved to England.
Yeah.
Also audacious. Yeah.
And then again to the US. And then I want to be an actor. Like most actors who are successful, as when they come out of Iran, they're already like somebody, if you just want to put it in that way, like they're famous enough. And they're like, Anousha, you're no one. Like, where are you going to go? Start from zero? Like, your English is not even that good. Like, I can go back to so many of moments that I'm like, no, my intuition is not telling me that. One of my biggest, I would say moments in life that I'm very proud of, and I would say a lot of unlearning came in that moment, is when I listened to my intuition. What was going to bring me ease? Life itself could be very challenging.
Do you remember a time when you weren't? This is the interesting thing about you, because you, for example, you talk about our journey to our authentic selves. This is, and I love, this is like a Brene Brown. People have talked about the authentic self, etc. I sometimes I feel like I'm still searching for it. It's a lifelong journey. But with you, I feel like
Started very young.
Well, was there ever a time? I mean, do you remember when you didn't rely on your intuition?
Yeah. Like before.
Obviously, it was before you were 15.
But
because
like,
at 15, you're checking your gut and going, I'm going to leave to Tehran, right?
That is a intuition moment, but I wasn't as aware as I am sitting here right now on it. I have words right now to explain what it means to go to the ease part of life, flow part of life. That's the state of actually focus. Flow is the actual focus. Some people think like grinding and hustling, that's the focus. But like actually when the flow happens, you're the most focused. Back then, right now, you can name it that, oh, you were so intuitive to do that. Back then, it was like, no, this is the only thing that feels right to me. And I'm just going to do this. But was it like so, right now, I can think of like, yeah, that was very intuitive of me. But back then, it was just, that's what it makes less resistance. And I had so many moments like that. And now I understand meditation, I understand mindfulness, and I understand all of those things. I'm like, okay, this is triggering me. What can I do about it? But before, I could be triggered and live life. I could just have an aha moment and again go back to my conditioned self. But now, right now, something that comes up and is not serving me right, I'm like, oh, what is it within me that I believe in myself about me that is not serving me anymore? Right now, I have that.
So does that govern all of your decisions? Are you able to sort of go, should I do this or should I? Let me check my gut. Yeah. Do you really do that with
everything?
That's amazing.
With
everything.
Everything.
I mean, how much? Say if your gut is saying I should go to this event, and your best friend is going, don't go to the event. Do you trust your gut?
I just listen to myself. I'm that kind of a person. I just listen to myself of how I feel. How do I feel right now? What would be
so empowering? Look at you.
I always say that the dance of life is a 50-50 thing, and most people get upset about it. They're like, so do you think we're saying that we like to be in this challenge? We want this challenge. We want the government do this to us. We want this. And they think I'm saying that you did it to yourself. But essentially what I'm saying is that 50-50 means you have the power of changing the music within you. So you change the dance of life towards what is serving you. I'm actually giving you power with saying this, but so many people look at the lack side of it, of like, it's happening to me. Like,
how do you deal with? How are you with criticism? If you do something, you make a decision based on your gut, and a bunch of people pile on you on the internet. How do you feel about that?
Which has happened since forever that I've been active on social media.
And by the way, you were Paris was talking about this. You're kind of an OG of influencers, right? Like you're young, but you started this 10, 12 years ago when nobody was, I mean, it wasn't a thing the way 8 years ago. Yeah. Okay. Well, even so. Yeah. Right.
I am. I mean, like it was when I started living in the US and my aha moments was happening like more and more back to back. It's just like happening more frequently. And I was like, okay, I don't know the solution to it. Now I'm in the state that I understand that I need to change my dance of life, the way I look at the world, change my lenses, how I look at the world. But to what? To how? What are the tools? Because there are like healthy tools that you can change your perspective, your conditioned mind to something that is serving you. But how? So what I did was like, you know what? I know everyone is used to go on social media and share their beauty and their beautiful life. I'm just going to do the opposite because I'm looking for a solution. So I would post something horrible has happened or life is not doing well, like I'm not doing good with life and all that. And I would write a long caption about this is where I'm stuck. And a lot of people resonate with that. Yeah. And then that's how the whole thing started. And then they're like, do this and do that. And then I started asking and then giving. And then that journey started that way. But when I come back to myself, I'm in a state right now that every time I want to do something, I'm like, how does it feel? And there was a lot of when you say criticism, because that was your question, what do you do with Since day one, they're like, oh, don't nag so much. You're in the US. And then I would release my meditation packages. And I was one of the first women who brought meditation in Farsi to Iran. And in we have an app now called Minder. We have almost 200,000 subscribers around the world. We have people from Afghanistan, from Farsi speakers.
And I'm guessing in the beginning they said, who are you to be teaching us this?
Or you're doing the evil path. This is the evil path. Yes.
Who says that?
People who didn't like what I was teaching.
I like how Iranians are. It's not like we don't like it. It's like you're evil. It's the shaitan.
You're shaitan, evil, and then threatening me, threatening my family. Of course, there's going to be a lot of criticism.
For doing meditation.
Yeah. Or for
seems weird.
Teaching girls to be actors or get naked. That's what they think. That's how they think sometimes. And you're teaching them
your
to be
famous
rebellious.
naked courses that you're known for. Yeah.
So there is going to be a lot of criticism. Every time I share something, my book came out 2022. It became the most sold book in Iran. We sold 54,000 copies within 2 months, and it's still growing. It's one of the best top sellers. You know the amount of criticism on it, but I know what's serving me, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that are serving the book is going to serve them. I'm not going to come down from this. I'm not going to back off from this, because I feel the feeling of ease within me, and that's what essentially everyone is doing. Do you think you're having this podcast, or when you're going on a trip, or when you get in a relationship, is because of the sake of the relationship or the sake of the trip, or is the way it makes you feel? It's the way it makes you feel. This media, Roqe media, is making you feel something, and that's why you're doing it. And all you're looking
Stressed.
for,
That makes me feel stressed. I'm kidding.
But what you're essentially looking for is ease.
Yes.
Is
Well,
to
everything is
serve.
100%. You're looking to do things that, and one of the reasons I feel like I know that you are authentic when you say you trust your gut or you go by intuition. Do you know why? Because you're not conservative. I don't mean ideologically. I don't mean like what you vote for. But you haven't lived a conservative life. One of the things that was interesting learning about how, as you say yourself, your success as a young person in Iran, you were doing so well in school and, advancing on musical instruments and et cetera. A lot of people, or I'm guessing you would do well on the concours, that type of thing. A lot of people who experience that kind of success and come from a good family are inclined to play it safe. Life would have been not maybe, Islamic Republic and all of its oppression, etc., notwithstanding, life would have been not so bad for Anousha if she stayed in Iran.
100%.
So that's interesting to me that you chose. You didn't choose the path of least resistance. You chose the path of resistance. I mean, you went and did things that don't make sense. I'm going to go to England without knowing how to speak English as a teenager by myself.
Yeah.
That's curious.
It is, and at the same time, what I was saying is that as I'm choosing the path of least resistance, I said there's like 5 minutes ago. I said that doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges. There's going to be challenges, but how you what is your perspective towards the challenge is what makes you a different person. The thing is, heaviness and the lightness of life, the energy that I talked about, is going to be there all the time. But when you're like, I don't know, a teenager, when the heavy side, the challenge, the question comes in, the way you play with it, because the whole life is a game, play with it is going to be different when you're like 40. Because your perspective towards life has changed. The challenge is exactly the same. The heaviness is exactly the same. It's just you play with it differently. You look at it differently.
How do you teach people to identify and trust their gut? I've always believed in all of the shitty things that have happened in my life. If I look back on, like, some horrific relationship, not horrific, but something that went it didn't work out. I in retrospect, I go, I kind of knew. My gut knew.
There you go.
But your decisions can be clouded by other things, sometimes by desire. I want this so badly that I'm going to not listen to my gut, etc.
Yeah.
How do you teach people to identify what their gut is telling them?
I'm going to tell you two things. The sound and the voice of the mind is so loud that sometimes doesn't allow for you to hear exactly what your gut is saying. And that's where mindfulness and meditation comes in, to quiet the mind a little bit. If you're thinking this and then brings this thought, and this thought brings this and opens this folder, and this is the pace of it, meditation does this to it. A thought, a pause, looking at it, another thought. It just puts a little bit of stretch between this thought and the next. And then when this quiets as you're going, the feeling of what it brings more ease, what brings more interesting, and the enthusiasm of life, the liveliness of life to you, it becomes more and more clear. People are just hearing it right now. It's like if I want to explain to you, if you've never tasted watermelon, how watermelon tastes. You need to sit with yourself and go back.
What does that mean to you? Do I sit at 5 a.m. and stare at a wall? I'm not being facetious. I mean, is that literally what?
I have done a lot of different types of meditations. Like I've been to Vipassana, like the temples, and then I've done like quantum meditation. I've done I have done it all. And now I'm in a state in my life that I just sit with myself, with no music, with no guided meditation. But if people are just starting, it's better for them to start with a guided meditation. So it would show you the path. Another thing that I said I'm going to tell you two
what's
things.
the other thing?
One is obviously mindfulness and quieting the mind, and second thing is
Which
this.
is impossible for me, but I know I know that's an aspiration, though. I get it. Yeah.
And the second thing is this. So I started acting at the age of 11 as a child actor in Shiraz. Very rare. There was no children in my class. No one. All
Even in the
grown-ups.
cultural center of Shiraz is so arts and
No,
culture.
there was just one acting school, and I was in it, and it was for grown-ups, like 25, 30, 35, and I was the only child actor sitting there. And what I'm saying is that I started at that age, and then in school I would throw like plays and theater. I would just take things on stage and ask my teachers to allow me to do that, blah, blah, blah. I started, and I'm 30 now, and I landed this year one of my biggest roles, right? Someone would look at my life and would be like, wow, you moved around so much. You learned a new language for it. And like you've been just studying it. It's almost 20 years of my life, Jian. Like there wasn't a thought.
Right.
Yeah, there wasn't a thought in you like, maybe I was not made for this. Maybe it's bringing more challenge to me. Wasn't it like a moment of doubt? Can you tell me that? And this is what I would tell them. If the path itself is serving you, you're on the right path. The amount that I learned, I went in. I understood characters, so that helped me to remove my judgment about people. Like if I'm supposed to play this character, and they're so opposite of each other, and I need to remove the persona of Anousha, how can I do that?
But we don't always have the ability to zoom out and see how the path is serving us or not, you know?
We always have the ability to zoom out and say if the path is serving us. Because the path, if you're not tolerating the path is serving you. Because when you know...
Tolerating the path.
Yeah,
what does that
you're
mean?
patient about the path. I was patient for 20 years, and the path was serving me. It's not about like... Some people look at me and like, oh, you should have had an Oscar by now. You should have... No, the path is the amount that I have learned, the community that I made around me, my friendships, my circle, the things that I am learning.
But that's so great that you can identify those things. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know that everybody can see. I mean, part of that too is I name checked Brene Brown before. I'm going to do it again, but she has that book about, I forget what it's called, but about how falling can be the best thing that can happen to you. What's it called?
Vulnerability.
Yeah. But it's falling up. Anyway, it's every time you fail, every time you slip up, instead of seeing that as a bad thing, that's an opportunity. That's
Exactly.
That's the best thing that could happen to you. It's hard to do that in the moment, right? It's hard to go, I just went bankrupt. I'm going to trust the path here.
Yeah.
This is like,
that's
look at
where
what I've learned.
comes in.
Yeah,
That's exactly
yeah.
where. That's why I said I will tell you two things. If the path is serving you and you're not tolerating, because when you go to tolerance, means you know this is not your partner. You know this is not what you want. You know you're tolerating it.
That's what you mean. I see.
Tolerating. You're not patient about it. You're
Right.
tolerating it.
Right.
Means within you, within your gut, you know this is not serving anymore.
Yeah.
But if you're patient, like how I was, and I'm learning,
But
and
that's
the path
a fine line.
it's a very fine line.
Because the partner might be, how do you know if you're being patient or tolerating? That's a very fine line.
People within if they're
But
quiet,
you know,
their mind,
you know,
and if
yeah.
you quiet your mind, your gut will tell, your intuition will always tell you, you're tolerating this. This is not going to change. Or this is patient. My partner is right now sick, and I can just be patient with it, you know? Or I'm just tolerating, he's not going to change, or she's not going to change. It's a very fine line.
How quickly can you tap into this power?
Me, right now, within a second.
So you meet somebody in a bar, you see them across the room, they're an attractive person or something, whatever. You want to strike up a conversation. How quickly do you know if your gut is telling you, you know?
I mean, that like the feeling of having some chemistry and all of that, like always is somewhat like clear at the first, but then as you're going, you can see that this person, like imagine, like for me, one thing that I tune in every day, daily base, is my wellness, my well-being. I tune in to my well-being. What is my well-being? And it has a frequency. Everything has a frequency. What is well-being for Anousha? And if your well-being and wellness, what you practice on your daily base, is so far from what I do, I am going to tolerate your ass. You know what I mean?
You're not going to be patient.
I'm not going to be patient
What
here.
what if your well-being? What if you like something that's not good for your well-being? Junk food or alcohol or smoking. Do you do any of that?
No.
None of it.
No.
See, that's what you're tediously perfect. That's the problem with this.
No, don't say that. But like the thing is,
Really, no potato chips.
no, I don't do
Nothing
junk
like
food.
that.
I don't do junk
Chocolate.
food. No. Chocolate, maybe
Alcohol,
if I get
drink,
no,
nothing.
no.
I knew it. I knew, but because you're so you've got this amazing healthy glow. Even it makes sense that, but that's difficult too, right? You socially that can become hard when. Do you sleep early as well? You don't go out late,
Oh my god.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my
are there
friends have
people
so much
around you who are like,
problem with it.
dude, come out? It's Friday night.
They
Come
do,
on." Yeah.
they do. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do like to have a nightlife. But I mean, like, again, if you are used to, put it this way, Gian, you're used to eat processed food from freezer in a microwave. That's what you're used to. This is your frequency of your
Mm. That
well-being.
may be what I'm used to.
Maybe I'm still doing it.
Hypothetically, though, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
We say
I cook.
I
yeah.
am them.
Yeah.
And then eventually, little by little, I get introduced to like something a bit organic, and then I make at home, and something is more homey. And then eventually, when you start tasting the good food, the quality of something, and the frequency and the energy of you is that well-being, because you're tuning in. And I'm going to give you an example about tuning in. You're tuning, and then after a year, when you eat that processed microwave food, it just doesn't taste right. It's not yummy anymore.
Yeah.
It's not yummy anymore. I'm serious. It's just putting poison in your body is not fun anymore.
I got you.
It's
I
just
got you.
not
And
fun.
I am more like that than not. I'm being listening. But there are smart, wonderful, loving people who would say, I know this is bad for me. I don't even got be damned. I know this is bad for me, but I want to do it because it serves me.
It's not.
It's not what?
It's serving the mind. It's not serving the health.
I see.
It's not.
So it's not really serving you, even if you think.
It's quieting your mind. It's quieting your mind because with healthy tools, you cannot quiet your mind. Because you don't know how to journal. You don't know how to sing mantras. You don't know how to tune in. Let me put it this way. I have an old piano at home, okay? It's sitting there. There's dust on it, and it's out of tune. I bring someone in, and it will tune. They will change the everything, and it will tune it into the perfect thing. But just because of this piano is not in tune with this new state, it will go back out of tune after a week.
Yes.
Then that guy has to come back, and then every 2 weeks, and then every month, and then every year. And then finally, this piano get used to this perfect, well-being, tuned in piano that it should be. That's what it is. When you keep tuning in to your intuition, to what is ease and flow to your life and well-being, it's become less harder to quiet
I like
the mind.
that, and I appreciate that. But I'm talking about something more granular. Maybe it's dumb, but I'm saying if a person says to you, look, I know the Nuna Sangak with the paneer tabriz, the feta cheese and the bread that I like every morning. It's not good for me. I know it's not good for me, but it makes me happy.
Yeah, but the sign of your body will show you that is not within your well-being.
So
your body is a vessel.
So you believe that my gut would actually be saying, don't eat the paneer and the bread and cheese.
I would saying that the energy of well-being, it becomes so loud within your body that you don't even desire to do it anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Would that energy would get louder, so I need less cheese. It's clearly not getting very loud.
I'm just saying, like your body is a vessel. It will always tell you how it feels. Does it feel good after a night of drinking? Does it feel good?
I don't do that very much, but
I mean, like,
no, even more immediately, it doesn't feel good after I eat the bread and cheese.
There you go.
I feel like shit.
There you
I
go.
like it too much. I have this funny ritual. I go to movies. You must love music when you're an actor. I got to eat popcorn at the movies, and I got to eat a lot of popcorn. It's my thing. I feel ridiculously bad afterwards. Like physically, I feel bad for like a day. I'm like, oh, I can't stop. It doesn't make sense to you. You're like, why would you're looking at me
it
like I'm
does
an
make sense to
alien?
me.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
okay.
no, it doesn't. It does make sense to you because the familiar feeling of not like that, that's more familiar to your system yet than the feeling of the well-being.
Well, I know if I just went to the movie and drank water and afterwards I'd be like feeling great, but I like the popcorn. I want to enjoy the popcorn. Why don't you let me eat the popcorn?
Where you're dissing with the popcorn.
Why
What's
you
your
scream-
beef
why
with
are-
popcorn?
Why you were pressing me? When you left Iran,
Yeah.
when you made that decision, did you? I mean, through a series of events and through the adventurism of Anousha, you don't end up going back. You don't end up going back to live. Did you know that was going to be the case?
I knew it when the very first time I came to the U.S. because I visited twice. As I went to London and then here, I visited twice. The first time I visited Iran after first time being in the U.S., I realized I'm not gonna go back anymore because the amount of resistance that I was feeling, it didn't make any sense anymore. And I knew within my heart, I don't know, I can't explain it, like the watermelon taste that I can't explain, that I knew this path that I chose, it chose me, I would say, is going somewhere that is supposed to go. And it would be very hard for me
Did it
to
make
go
you
back.
sad?
It made me sad. Yeah, it made me sad. That was the time that I was really into learning what is learning and what is unlearning, and is that I told one of my teachers that I'm gonna miss Iran and miss my family and miss so many things, and he taught me something that I will never forget. And sometimes I get to practice it, and sometimes I get to my conditioned self and I forget to practice it. Is that when we miss something, is because when we were present with it, when we were in that place or with that partner or with our family, we were not fully there. If you're fully experiencing something, you don't miss it. I understand that. Sometimes I forget it, but I understand the meaning and the energy of what my teacher taught me. When you're fully doing something, when you fully, your mom was pregnant, fully developed you, do you miss it? No, because you fully experienced that and you're done with it and you want to experience something new. When you fully experience something, you don't miss it anymore. And when I went back to Iran, I tried to be very present with my mom and my dad, with everything, with the food. I spent a few months there, and I would say it was one of the most profound experiences I've ever experienced. Iran. I lived in Iran, I grew up in Iran, but I never experienced Iran like that, that vision. So it does make me sad, but this is the path. I mean, what am I going to say?
And I've got to imagine you have a massive social media audience. I've got to imagine a lot of them are in Iran, right?
Yeah. And they send you pictures of Iran when they visit Shiraz. I'm Shirazi, and you have a moment and you're like, wow, if I could just go to Hafiz right now and just sit there. I think about those moments. But what I have is that with my sadness, I don't have the ego of disappointing, of being hopeless. Hopeless is an ego. Sadness by itself is beautiful. Sadness is where poetry come in. Sadness where film, music come in. From sadness, you feel something. And if you allow sadness to just be sadness, gham, and feel the whole thing, it will go. But the moment you attach an ego to it, oh, hopelessness, oh, disappointment, oh, there's nothing in this world, like these things that the ego says, you stay in the sadness. So when the sadness of Iran and the Hafiz comes in, I'd listen to Shajarian and just cry. But then I allow it to move from the vessel that I am and use this vessel and just move forward. I don't go to some ego states.
If a young woman writes you from Shiraz on Instagram, a teenager, let's say, and says, Anousha, should I leave Iran? I'm interested in being an actor. Should I leave Iran? What do you say?
I would say listen to your gut, see what's serving you. Don't be afraid of the challenge that is coming. If you listen to your gut all the time, that challenge is going to actually serve you. But I would never tell someone to actually get married, don't get married, leave Iran, stay in Iran. I would never say those things because I don't know how you feel within your body. But if you quiet your mind, your intuition will always tell you what's the path of least resistance for you.
By the way, you've said you don't want to get married,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, like,
why are you so definitive about that?
okay, that's why I said. I mean, it's not about being definitive, like, or being so defensive about it. It's like right now, as I'm sitting here, the feeling of marriage and being in that, it doesn't make sense to me of writing down something on a paper and say that happens. I want to have a long life partner. I want to love on someone and be there.
You mean
for
the
them.
institution feels?
Yeah, it's just like feels very boxed. Maybe my partner comes to me and be like, "Hey, I know you don't believe in it, but like this actually brings so much ease for me." And I'm like, "Sure, we do it for you. I don't know." But to me, that's not a like, "Oh my God, so much alignment. It brings so much peace to me and joy and surur sarmasti," like those things. It's just I don't have the emotional charge for it. Does it make any sense? Yeah. It doesn't do anything with my system as when I think of, when my platform, Joy Culture, gets here, I can serve this much and we can bring the community. Like that has an emotional charge for me. But that doesn't have a really emotional charge for me. But if my partner, I don't know, is so stuck on it, maybe, I don't know.
Or your partner's family or your family.
Yeah, like I understand
might sometimes
that.
do things to please the broader community
just but I know that it's so easy for me to love on someone and be there for them. And actually, like, I mean, I had this podcast and they asked me some private questions in it, and now the world knows. But I personally been in like 2 long relationships, and I actually do believe being like dedicated to someone so hard and being faithful to them. Like I had a 9 years relationship and a 5 years relationship at a very young age that most people want to like, which is okay, switch partners and do and explore and all. But like the marriage would be just like, doesn't have that emotional charge for me.
You believe in love?
Absolutely.
You
I
believe
am love.
And you are love.
Yeah, we are love. Yeah. It's like you essentially asking me, like, do you believe in yourself? Yeah, I do.
Well, I guess that's an interesting thing to say, because you've said, and you say it so openly and boldly that I love it. You say, I love myself.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful post that you have that you pinned on your Instagram that ends, I love you, Anousha.
Yeah.
Did you always love yourself?
No. The thing is, when people come and ask me questions on my lives or like we have these Zoom courses online, and they're like, "Oh, I am in so much guilt. What can I do?" And I always say, that's a frequency, and there's an opposite for it, Jian. Life is a life of contrast. Day, night, everything is a contrast. Through the energy of light and heavy, it will expand itself. Life is expanding through light and heavy. So everything is a contrast. Life is a life of contrast. So whatever you're feeling, it has a contrast. It has an opposite. What is the opposite of that? So if I love myself so much right now and I respect my well-being, there was a time I didn't like myself. I felt so much, I felt very weak. I had so much judgment about myself. I didn't even like how my hands are. I used to hate my hands, which is crazy. I love my hands.
What's wrong with your...
I don't know. I used to hate them. I don't know why. And then I actually do know why. But I can open it. Like my hands look like my grandma's hands, and my grandma's in my eyes just left me when she died. I felt like she left me, so I hated it like something that represents her. But then eventually, when it comes to like where I am now, I healed it. I love it now. I miss her, all that jazz. But yeah, there's an opposite. So when you say you love yourself, yeah, I used to not like myself. I used to think I'm very weak. Why am I an Iranian woman? That gave me a lot of like challenges to be that and to grow up like that. But now I understand the opposite so much. I sit with my inner child. I love that.
Are you patient with yourself, or do you tolerate yourself?
Look at you.
See what I've learned?
Yeah.
And what's the answer?
I'm very patient with myself. I'm very patient. I have to.
Well, if you were just tolerating yourself, you'd have to leave the relationship with yourself. So it wouldn't go so
check
well.
Out. That's when you check out and you do drugs. There you go.
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Tell me.
what is your ambition about? I mean, accepting completely all of that you're talking about in terms of following your path. Something that is, I watched you. You did a recent podcast with you were the guest with our dear friend Solmaz Bakir, and she's so lovely. She's so great, and you guys were talking about how in our culture, meaning Persian culture, I think this generalizes in culture in general these days, but definitely Iranians in particular, our status is so important, and status is so bound and tied up in oftentimes material things, my BMW, my salary, my money, my house, my and
Dopamine.
my occupation, my doctor, lawyer, all of those things. That's oftentimes why people are ambitious in our culture. You're ambitious so you can make more money, so you can have more things, or so that you can achieve some sort of status that you can then trade on and show everybody your status. If that's not what it's about for you, what is it about?
The exchange of love itself that we are is what drives me. Every day that I wake up and I do what I do, and I'm like, so fascinating that we can just exchange this. I had this event in Vancouver last week, and someone brought me a gift, and it was a homemade kalam polo. And I came home, it was in this beautiful dish, and it was hot, and it tasted just like Shiraz. And I was like, I get to have this. This is the exchange of who we are essentially inside of us. I loved upon whoever I can, and I'm like, I can, and it's possible for me, and without no expectation. And this comes in. Maybe to so many people that doesn't mean anything. They wanted a gold ring, but this worth everything to me.
I love that.
Worth everything to me. That I know if right now just fall, there's something wrong with me. The amount of people just come in to take care, to create that trust, create that healthy environment for me is so much that I cannot even explain it to you. I at first I said one of the unlearning thing that I did for myself was the word success. So many people think that having that car and that status and all of that means there's success, and that's the learning. To me, success is that my circle, my friends, and my people that are my people, the amount that we can trust each other, the amount that we have no judgment on each other, we accept all the dimensions that are within us, and I can just give my whole life right now to my best friend, and he's like, can you take care of this? And the way they will take care of it and be the amanatdar of it, like to be the person who drives it for me without me even like thinking of it for a second. That's success. That's success that someone got me, not one person, my circle, the way we got each other. We are there for like more than a family, more than the love itself. That is success. So many people they're chasing that dopamine kick. Having a car, having a status, all that, those are dopamine. There's nothing wrong with dopamine. You need dopamine to be able to focus within your body. Don't get me wrong. You need dopamine. But if that is what's giving you self-esteem, so if the car comes, the car can go. So your self-esteem goes with it. There you go. My self-esteem doesn't come from that. My confidence doesn't come from that. It's something ethereal, something within me. That's what drives me.
But first of all, it's so great talking to you. You're like a transformative figure. It's like meeting a Yoda or something.
Don't say that.
But why? I'm still the part about working so hard. You don't. All of those things can be true. The reasons you do them, but you work pretty hard, don't you? I mean,
do.
To have as many fingers in as many pies as you do.
Much.
So why are you? What do you get out of working that hard?
I have the energy.
If
of
it's
it.
not about the money or all of those things.
I just like so the thing is, when I say you tune into your well-being, you tune into your source to love that you are. The energy is not like I have to think myself or drink some coffee and ask for something to give me the energy to do what I want to do. It's just I'm driven that way because I have the energy of it. When I wake up super early. I'm not gonna say what time because people are gonna get up.
No.
4:45. I guess.
4:45.
Yeah, so I can be at a gym at 5:30.
So awesome. I love that.
I am in bed at 9:30.
But that's the part I don't love.
Yeah,
The 9:30 every night.
every night.
Wow.
I love it. The amount that I enjoy when I wake up like till like 8:30 is my time. No one talks to me. It's my time. I have my headphones on. I'm at the gym. I do weightlifting, heavy weightlifting. I'm in it. The amount of dopamine and happiness is in my body. And then I come home and then
No parir.
nadige. Don't ruin it.
That was my version of that.
Like,
was
yeah.
like the gym. We just did it. Now no parir.
It's so funny. Yeah, like the way it's, and what I'm doing, like responding to people and then having my gatherings, which is called Gerdahamai, we have on Zoom, and then I go live. I speak to people. Thousands of people go live with me right away. Like it's a very active Instagram that I have. It's just you feel like I'm doing so much work. It's just that's my flow. That's my flow. I'm not doing so much. That's who I am. That's
That part, but okay, but you're in a series. We're going to talk about it in a second. The Night Agent, that takes work. You've got to practice. You've got to know what develop your character, know your lines, all of that stuff. You're running a podcast. You're doing these appearances. You got a lot going on.
So much on my book and my meditation packages.
Are you someone who feels pressure? Do you feel stress? Do you?
There are days that I do feel stressed.
Do you take days off?
I mean, sometimes weekends. Yeah, I do days. I still.
How often do you not get up at 4:45?
Maybe Sundays.
Okay, so every other day.
Yeah.
4:45.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Maybe
amazing.
Saturday, Sunday, maybe Sundays more. Yeah, I like building the character, doing all those like my film stuff, and then having my meditation packages and my book, and then my platform, Joy Culture, all of that. It's just we are so ahead with everything. We have so many episodes ready, recorded to go, like months, because I know that acting like a job like that, like my series that I'm at, can come in and takes like 4 or 5 months of my life, and I'm already ready for that. And the thing is, like, we're like, wow, so you had to work so hard to build those things. Again, it's not hard. If you're passionate about what you're doing and you love what you're doing, you're not really working. You're just like getting up and loving what you're doing. Like even in the morning, they're like, wow, you wake up that early, you go to the gym that morning. I love my community at the gym. I love when people wake up at that time and like we are that. Like we understand each other. We understand. Like when I come out of the gym, the sun is shining and then LA, you know how beautiful it could be. Just that energy of that flow. I created that for me. If you look at my life, Gian, what I was born into and what I am living right now, two different people. Like it doesn't make any sense.
And we haven't done this as a linear story, but because I know some of these things. But along the way, I mean, you're not necessarily a privileged kid who is staying in mansions at every stop. I mean, you lived in a tiny room with someone for a while. You've done your version of living in the Volkswagen outside basically, right?
I worked at Amazon delivery for 2.5 years. Like lifting heavy packages, taking it up like the 4th floor with no elevator in the heat and how hot it can get in LA. And what I was like 8 hours of my life. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, let's be honest. A beautiful woman like you could have done so. Yeah, I could have done so much, but this is what I did because I needed my morning to be free. So anything acting wise that comes in, I did my hustle. I did my challenges. I learned my challenge. But 8 hours, what I was doing, I was listening to books. I was listening to podcasts. 8 hours of that. I wrote a full play, a theater play, while I was doing Amazon delivery, which I'm taking on stage this year. Like I did. I am still like so thrived by and excited by what serves. what brings ease to me. I'm so focused on that I won't be like, oh, I'm doing Amazon delivery. Yes, I'm doing Amazon delivery, but it's serving me.
I can't wait to see what you do. Like, imagine you 10 years from now. I can't even. Can you?
If I'm alive, I don't know. Yeah.
Yanichi.
Oh
Oh my God. Right at the end, Indonesia deal.
I don't know.
No, you're the most Zen person I've ever met. I mean, but really, who knows, right? We don't even know where you'll be.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were to look at the trajectory, you won't stay in one place. You'll be gone somewhere else, and you'll be creating things.
And you know what? What I always say is that I am not attached to any of these things that I'm doing. If right now, and that's the
Not
key.
even the BMW.
Baba. And like, if right now life represents something to me that has that like, you know, it's just it feels something new, and you're like, I can dive into this and then realize the deeper love that I am. And everything just gets deeper. That's what it is. Just the layers are getting deeper, like the love, the acceptance, all of that. If I can deeply, even more than what I do right now, loving myself and accepting and trusting, and it's a different path. It's not acting. It's not what I'm doing. I will do it. Right? I will tell you right now on podcast how many people are going to listen to it. I will do it. I don't care. I'm not attached to any of the things. If it's not serving me anymore, if I realize what I'm doing is not serving me anymore, it's not creating ease, and it's just resistance, and the new path is, I'll tap into that. I'll tap into that.
It's very liberating having that point of view, like that you don't. So it's somewhat Sufi or Buddhist, or I'm trying to think of, like, it's like Leonard Cohen, you know, saying I don't need stuff. I don't need, you know. That if you really embrace that, that's just incredibly liberating, because you're not stressing about how do I make my car payments this week, or my, you know, the cable bill or whatever. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about The Night Agent before we end off, because it is an exciting gig. Like this show, it's like I started hearing about it. It's like about an FBI guy, and it kind of was a sleeper, right? Like it's become sort of a hit show, which was like then Netflix greenlit a second season, and you're. From what I read on IMDb, you've got 6 episodes in this new season, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Like in Homeland or something, that's enough to be an entire terrorist arc. So you play a character named Hale.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about her before I get? But this begins airing when? And when's
probably in October or November. They're planning to release it.
Have you shot it already?
We finished it a week before I came to Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mubarak.
Thank
and
you.
how was it? How was the shoot?
I mean, amazing. Like the amount of, it changed my perspective a lot about life, like being on a show as big as this, on a Netflix show, a hit top 10, blah, blah, blah. It's just, I learned so much of working with a production as big as that. And Hale is such a sweetheart. I love her.
It was in New York? Shot in New York?
Shot in New York.
That's fun.
That's very fun. I lived in New York for a few months. I was there. And it's just living there, and there's a different dynamic, you know, like New York is just a different world by itself.
Different crowd at 6 a.m. at the gym from LA.
They're my crowd. They're my crowd. I called my friend. I was like, dude, New York's pace is my pace. It's my
I think
pace.
so. Me too. Yeah, that's why I'm curious about the LA. But you have the spiritual meditation side of you. So okay,
yeah, that's my pace for sure. But like, yeah, it was so amazing. And then like the whole show is like a FBI, like a very action-based show. And if they haven't watched season 1, go ahead. Most people that I've heard, they binged it. Like
we should get caught up.
Yeah.
Before season 2.
Honestly, it's not like that, but it's very fun to watch, because every season the whole dynamic and story changes. It's one of those series.
And are you an action figure? Like
I am not. I am not. Like,
you don't have to learn how to shoot a gun.
No. It's just that's what I was saying. Like the whole thing is just FBI action, like killing and all that. And Hale's character is just this sweet girl, so oblivion of what is happening in the background. Her best friend is a spy and all of that. It's just like, let's go have a cup of coffee and let's gossip about this. And just like, she's so pure. She's so sweet. And I loved playing this because it's so opposite of who I am. I'm just such a, like, when it comes to life, I'm like serious and just do something that is authentic, do this, do that. And this one is like, oh, what's happening in the background? Oh, tell me, give me some gossip.
Oh, he's
I don't
fuzul.
care. He's fuzul, she's fuzul, and I don't care about those things at all. So it was just fun going in there.
How did you get the gig?
Oh, it was such a fun audition. I auditioned for it in December. It's actually one of my big,
Just this December?
December.
That was fast.
Yeah.
So, and they
we
already shot
finished
the season?
5 months.
Wow.
Finished. We started in January.
I guess because they didn't know if there was going to be a second season until, so once they get
just
that,
back to back,
it goes,
everything. Yeah. I auditioned in December. I got super sick, like very sick, after the day of Christmas, to a point that I had to do a procedure twice back to back. Yeah, it was not good. In bed for 3 weeks. Couldn't even sit up.
After the audition.
After the audition.
And after getting the gig?
No,
Oh.
It's just audition. It finished. And I was in bed and I was in that state of my life. I was like, wow, I am so like, especially when the New Year's comes, I love the New Year's feeling of it. I like journal things and I'm ready for like new like beginnings and things like that.
The
and
Nowruz or the January 1st?
January 1st.
Okay.
And I'm like, why would something like this happen? Then I'm like, I was pinned to the bed, Gian. Like, couldn't even sit up. And I was like, this is so
That's
opposite.
where all that not drinking and sleeping well got you.
Hater, you're beefing with me. Come back to Nunopani.
Exactly.
Let me teach you
You
that.
don't want to be sick next New Year's. Maybe you should enjoy your life. Go ahead. No, I kid. Yeah.
Wow. And then I was pinned down to the bed and I was like, wow, why did I manifest? Because I believe we manifest dis-ease because it's dis-ease, opposite of ease.
Yes,
Opposite of
dis-ease,
ease,
yes.
disease. And like I manifested this disease. Well, like what's going on? Let's go in deeper. And I started like doing like Hafiz reading and more poetry and all that. And I did like some deep meditations that I've never done before. Like a whole different like layer opened up for me as I was laying down and thinking my sickness, like actually slowing me down. Because as you said, my pace is just so fast. Like go, like we do this, and it was so opposite of me. And I was like, oh, okay, I love this. Let me just like actually marinate myself in it. If I'm pinned down, let's marinate in it. And I did, and then a callback came in for the show, and the callback was on Zoom. And I was on the waiting area of Zoom, and I was in that state, state of calmness, state of being. And then a message popped in. It's like, we're a little bit behind, please wait. And I was like, okay, so they need probably 10 to 15 minutes. Let me close my eyes and ask myself, how does it feel to be in this moment? I was like, it feels good. And then I asked myself a bunch of questions, John. I was like, if I land this gig, if I get it, how would I change? And I was like, I would be Anousha that I am. I'm like, what would I change about my life? Like, what doesn't work anymore? I was like, actually, I love how I serve the world. I love how the life is serving me. I love my life. I love myself. I love my partner. And it's like, okay. And then I've asked like 2-3 questions like this. How would I be different? And the answer always came in that calm state that it would be the same. And then I told myself, I was like, then I have this gig. If it's not changing me, I'm the same frequency of this character.
Jeez.
It's the same frequency of who I am. I'm not above it. I'm not beneath it. It's me. I am Hale. And I was so in it. You know, Gian, when you're in it,
Yeah,
that feeling,
do. Yeah.
it happens sometimes, rarely, maybe if you're not practicing it enough. But I was in it. And the Zoom popped in, the director, the producer, the creator, like so many people on it. And I did Hale, I lived Hale, and I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to curse. And
the word enjoyed was offensive to some people.
And then 3 days later, on the day that I moved to the U.S., 9th of January, 9 years ago, I landed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
And I'm so grateful that you came to Toronto, that we get to do this in person, to have you here, to learn from you, to talk to you. Our diminutive Shirazi Yoda is how I will think of you forever.
I take that.
And honestly, I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for making the time, and for what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a fun conversation, such a flow, and I hope whoever listens to it, watches it, enjoys it, and if they feel resistance with what I'm saying, that's not my intention. My intention is love.
Merci. Berim ye kebab bezanim.
There you go. Noodle pani.
I was trying to suggest something that you won't eat. Probably kebab you don't, right?
I do.
Oh, you do kebab.
Yeah, I do.
Kebab's okay?
Kebab is
but
okay.
noodle pani isn't.
Noodle pani isn't for you because you get a bellyache. I don't get a bellyache with noodle pani.
Yeah, I feel bloated after the
there you
noodle
go.
pani.
Yeah.
I can't give it up. Yeah. Anousha, live in the Roqe studio. This is episode 328 of Roqe. Anousha has left our studio. Smart Pega has returned to the desk here, and Super P Parisa is still here as well. I really enjoyed that conversation. What an interesting, dynamic human Anousha is.
Very much so. But before that, I feel like I should be walking into a castle after that music.
Yeah, well, that's what this temporary studio is.
Yes.
A very small castle, a room. Yeah, I love that. That is actually an Iranian Canadian musician named Kambiz Mirzai. I think Kambiz Mirzai.
So
who I think it was the first year of Roqe. A few different musicians sent in their versions of the new Roqe theme, and he did that one, that sax
So
one.
great.
You love
I
that,
haven't
huh?
heard that, yeah.
We haven't played that for a long time.
I really liked it, actually.
Thank you, Kambiz Mirzai. I like it too. All right, Anousha. So, I mean, we're going to get to the roundup, but her mission around intuition is... I concur. I really believe in what she's talking about when she says we should trust our gut.
Absolutely.
And I actually, if it's the case, I have no reason not to believe her, but if it's the case that she makes all her decisions that way, God love her. I really appreciate that.
That's amazing.
Because I do ultimately think, as I said in the interview, that we know. You know, it's just a matter of whether you can tap in or not.
Yeah.
But you kind of know what's good and what's bad for you, you know?
I mean, how many of us have had one of those moments where it's like, oh, if only I had listened to my gut, you know, we've gone with logic instead, or gone with something because of societal pressure or norm or whatever else, and then later on we've come back and been like, oh, well, my gut feeling was something completely different.
Yeah, that moment for me has lasted 4 decades. I wish I'd gone with my gut on this. Yeah. What else did she say? That she was...
The unlearning for me was really interesting, actually. I thought, you know, it's so true. There's so much that we've been kind of conditioned to pick up because of, you know, whether it's family or society or whatever the case may be. And we really need to go through this process of unlearning to be able to go back to those things.
Yeah, that's why I was so captivated by that word, by the concept of it. And I wanted it to become a theme of this, because it occurred to me that, wow, so much of learning after a certain age, at least, you know, an early age, is about unlearning.
Yeah.
You know, it's about picking up things along the way that you didn't mean to or didn't want to or shouldn't have picked up, and unlearning those traits, those habits, those ideas, whatever it is. And so,
ignoring your gut feeling is one of them. You had to unlearn that.
You know, she was talking about it in the context of Iran and the Islamic Republic and the plight of women, and, you know, unlearning the expectations around gender, all that. But I think it really generalizes to any of us and anywhere, you know, because life is a part of learning is learning what you need to unlearn, I guess, right?
I think one of the other things is, you know, as you get older, you kind of go on this autopilot mode, I almost feel like, because you feel like you've learned everything you need to, and now you know, and you're just acting based on those things that you've learned, and you're just on this kind of autopilot. But every now and again, to check in with that, again, to unlearn and to realize maybe some of the things you've picked up are the wrong things, rather, I think is also in tune with what she was saying about the unlearning.
The other thing that I appreciated that, and I mentioned about that about her, and I mentioned that I'd listened to or watched the interview that Solmaz did with her, was about the importance that we place on status, especially in the Iranian community, and how Anousha, to take her at her word at least, is trying to redefine what success means for her. And it ain't necessarily big bucks or what you do for a living or a lot of the things that we're expected to think of as success, right?
Yeah, I thought it was incredible when you were asking her about her success, and she mentioned, you know, if something were to happen to her right now, the community that she has to fall back on, the friendships, the relationships, and that was a mark of success for her. And I thought that was amazing, and not something you really hear from a lot of people, to refer to their relationships and their community as a sign of success.
Yeah, although when you there's ups and downs in life, and when you hit the downs, you realize that those people you can rely on are a very small group. Your real friends, I'll take this to the bank, folks. Your real friends are very, very few people.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of, there's a lot of people who you think are your friends who are kind of there for the good times,
not so much
for the bad. So I don't know how many people she'll have to fall back on, but hopefully she'll never be in that position to fall back on anyone. But I do think, I think one of our challenges as a global Iranian community is to somehow untangle the importance of BMWs. You know, it's a bit of a joke, and there's nothing wrong with a BMW if you want to drive one, but for that to mean so much, you know, for it to be like that, for people to judge you if you don't drive something like that, is, I really want us to get past that as a community. Probably not in my lifetime or anyone's lifetime, but it'd be nice, you know.
Very ambitious
the
goal.
status thing, yeah. Okay, so thank you again, Anousha, for being in here. That was really. And Super P, yes. I was right. I was right that you should listen to her. 4:45 a.m. she wakes up.
I can't believe
4:45 a.m. she wakes up every day. Basically the same age as you.
Sundays.
Except for Sundays.
And even that, she was like, well, maybe some Sundays.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
And doesn't, she lost me with the I don't eat bread and patty or no potato chips, like nothing.
Give up things like that?
Yeah, that's, I mean.
Popcorn.
I enjoy my food way too much.
Stop taking away my popcorn. What's in the roundup before we go here? I know there's an election. There's an election in Iran, and I mentioned before, Anousha, that you were gonna. That was part of our roundup. You were going to talk about a boycott that some people have called for.
Yeah, so we've been seeing a new social media campaign. Hashtag election circus is something that we're seeing a lot of, and then there's one in Farsi, which is hashtag Rai Bi Rai, so like no vote, I guess would be the closest translation I could come up with.
Vote, no vote?
Yeah, vote, no vote, exactly. So essentially both of these campaigns are geared at, asking people to not go out and vote, to boycott the election.
When is the president? Isn't like
tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
And we've seen recently within the last few days, joint statements from mothers of some of the slain protesters, dissidents. We've seen teachers come out in large numbers, political prisoners, including Nargis
Calling for boycotts. Inside Iran. Because I know there's people outside of Iran making that case.
Exactly. So we're seeing this a lot, but there is a conversation about this actually happening online, and there is a little bit of disagreement, surprise, surprise, amongst Iranians. Some are actually saying, it's one thing to call for the boycott of the election, but it's another to understand that there are individuals in Iran who are still having to choose between bad and worse, so to speak, and that these elections, even though it may be very temporarily, might provide some relief between choosing a hardliner candidate versus a reformist candidate for day-to-day life. So definitely some interesting conversations being had. But we know that, voter turnout has dropped to historic lows. In 2023, we saw 41% turnout, which has been the lowest since 1979 in Iran. And we're expecting that the same will happen. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
I think, as you know, the argument would be against those who make the case that there's some difference between these candidates, and maybe Pezeshkian would change things or be better than Jalili. That the argument is, we've seen this movie before,
time and time
and
again,
a reformist candidate or a reformist even elected president may temporarily provide some illusory hope, but that it doesn't actually turn out to be anything, and a few years later kids are being shot in the streets again, right?
Exactly. Actually, that leads us to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is not only can you actually go and vote if you are living in Iran, but if you live in the United States, if you should happen to want to vote, you can.
That's great. But just before you get to that, Super P, the pride of Mashhad.
Yes.
Right. The Mashhadis all rally behind you. I don't think any of them know who you are, but that's okay. Were you to be in Iran, sorry to put you on the spot, were you to be in Iran, would you boycott would you vote or not vote?
I won't vote.
You would not vote?
No,
Yeah.
I will not.
You'd be part of the and that's because?
It's because, as you said, we've seen this story over and over, and I don't think it will be effective to vote.
I think I'd be on that side too. I think it would be. It feels like more of a. It is voting to not vote.
Mm-hmm.
It is voting for. I don't agree with this. I don't believe in this. Okay, you were going to talk about.
I was going to talk about the fact that
that's some fucking reason that the United States, that has no official diplomatic relationship with Iran, is allowing voting for the Iranian election in the U.S.
That is correct. So 30 voting
you
stations.
Sure you're not making? Are you making this up?
I swear I am not making this up. 30 voting stations across the United States where you can vote for the Islamic Republic's election that is happening tomorrow.
P.S. Isn't the IRGC on the terrorist list in Iran and in America?
In America.
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
And they have zero diplomatic relationships. And to top it all off, the U.S. State Department actually released a statement saying, and I quote, that we have no expectation that the elections will be free or fair. And yet we're putting up voting stations so that you can go and
but at the corner of 7th and Houston, you'll be able to.
I will say there's also a campaign that is happening where individuals across the United States are going to show up at these voting stations to protest and to show that this is ludicrous that the United States is allowing for something like this.
I wonder who would want to vote, like, in America for the candidates in Iran.
Well, I remember this is a while ago, but when the embassy was still open in Ottawa, there was...
That was a while ago.
Years and years ago.
Yeah.
But there was a year where people were trying to get buses and things like that to go and vote.
Well, even in the Green Movement, I mean, the slogan was, "Where is my vote?" People wanted to have their votes counted at least.
Exactly.
And they weren't. But yeah, at this point, it seems like it's completely different. And maybe only 15 years ago, but we're in a new era, a new landscape here. So that's a very strange decision, almost comical, but also
quite sad,
disappointing. And finally, Tumaj.
Yes, I wanted to talk about Tumaj's court.
By the way, any predictions for the election?
it's gonna be a shit show. No.
No.
I honestly can't say it.
Yeah.
I really can't predict anything with Iran.
I say Jalili.
You say Jalili.
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 Am I saying it wrong?
No.
Why don't you know the name?
I said it wrong.
Why? Don't you know the name of these candidates?
I do know it. I just said it wrong. So I repeated myself.
Honestly, I didn't know.
Really?
The
No,
name of
I
the
don't know.
He's kind of the, I mean, if you can separate these under these categories, he's the
Pezeshkian.
sort of hardliner guy.
Yeah.
And he seems to be ahead.
He was the lead nuclear negotiator for Iran for like 10 years or something like that, I think. And then there's Pezeshkian, who's the former health minister. And of course, Ghalibaf, which we won't even go down that road.
Ghalibaf was always there.
And no Ahmadinejad.
Just keep trying.
Ahmadinejad is on like some type of house arrest or something.
The poor guy keeps
Poor
trying.
guy.
Poor guy. Listen to us. The poor
I know,
guy.
right?
Okay, yes.
Too much,
Too much.
yes.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. So his the death sentence for Tumaj was overturned on Saturday. His lawyer released a statement, basically sharing the news. And I know again we saw a lot of celebration with this, and of course this is good news. But you know, I wanted to point out that we're not in the clear yet. He has not been freed. His case is now being sent to another branch for further consideration, and it's gotten to the point where the court that actually overturned his sentence admitted to the fact that him spending the past 6 years in prison has been excessive, even under Islamic Republic law, to the point that, you know, the fact that they've even kept him in prison for 6 years is technically not allowed under the law that they're even trying to practice under. So, you know, really, really good news that the death sentence, of course, has been overturned. But I think the pressure that's been put on from the international community, from Iranians, everything that, you know, everyone at large has been doing seems like it's working and probably should continue.
It's hard to tell. These kind of things, I'm
trying to be hopeful.
I'm trying to not be, my knee-jerk reaction to not be a conspiracy theory, but I'm always suspicious of anything the regime does. And so it's like,
Especially with the
really,
timing.
they found justice all of a sudden? They're like, oh, that was the wrong call. Sorry, let's not, you know, like, let's review the VAR. Let's look at the video replay. No, we shouldn't have the death sentence. I'm like, wait, what's going on?
Well,
Something's going on. You know?
Something's definitely going on, I think, and we've talked about this before. I mean, when the death sentence was issued in the first place, there was so much confusion between where was it coming from, which court, things
Right.
like that. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding what's happening with Tumaj, but happy that the death sentence has been overturned.
Mm-hmm. Jalili.
Jalili.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Pega. Thank you, Parisa. Thank you, Anousha, for being here. And thank you, all of you out there. This is Full Time for Roqe for today. Also, thank you to Nimani for sponsoring this episode. Remember, for all things Roqe related, you can go to roqemedia.com. roqemedia.com. Our website, our hub of all things Roqe related. Thanks to the amazing team who put this show together each week. Savvy Roham, Super Parisa, Smart Pega, Talented Anahita, Methodical Kabe, Bearded Omid. Thank you to all of you out there for supporting us and sharing our content. If you like something that you're listening to or watching, feel free to share it. And please subscribe on any or all of our platforms if you haven't done so already. You can find us, the program, on Instagram and Telegram and social media channels at Roqe Media. You can find me on Instagram at jianghomeshi. Check out our YouTube shorts at Roqe Media on YouTube. And in the meantime, Mizun Bashi.